I'm trying this out because I want to be able to show my screen. But anyway, the reason I want to be on right now is to show you guys some pictures of some things I have captured. Is that going to work? We'll figure it out. Right? Let's see this. Check that out. Okay. Right. It's interesting the way it's doing that. Fascinating. We're having fun now, but seriously, that's also really weird. Having to like drive a different device. I wonder why it's doing that. It's interesting. Fascinating. I don't know. What's going on here? This is all silly. Okay, well, so. I should probably not do this like this. Okay, yeah, I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and because what's going on just doesn't make any sense. But when I research the information and I find links between everybody, yeah, this is going to be totally cool. I'm going to have to just start this all over again because this is not going to work. Doesn't want to look at my photo gallery. Yeah. Well, I like it doesn't want to show. It just doesn't. It's just not being fun. I wonder. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, so you can see the pictures. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so let's just tell something real quick. I don't plan on smoking cigarettes when my daughter is back with me. That's my promise to myself. That these things that this torture and assault and evil attempted murder has has done to me. But I say it in post circumstance, finding remedy. When it's all said and done, what it attempted to do to me is absolutely just hard to even describe. But we're strong. We are going to persevere through this. And we're not going to go through this in vain. Whatever it is I'm having to figure out, I'm having to figure it out. That's my point. What I'm having to figure out is some crazy shit. Yeah. See that spot? Change the lighting. Okay, you take the light off. You see this like pattern, wave pattern on the photograph, but there's layers of awesome stuff in there. Let's figure it out. Okay, so I meet this guy when I'm 30 years old, but I go visit my mom. And long story short, he gets me pregnant, bada bada. And he seems to deploy what I picked up on was a calculated like maneuver, but I didn't pick up on it until it was too late. Honestly, I did know that there was definitely something wrong with this guy. His just behavior was bad since the get-go. I'll just leave it at that because the point, I'm not trying to recap all the details of the situation. What I'm trying to do is put the links together. So I met him up where my mom lives. She has a property in Phelan, California, very small area. And I met him. She sent me to go get some propane. And lo and behold, I met him at the Ace Hardware. His mom had a property in Pinion Hills. Well, long story short, I get pregnant. Him and I are over. I have the pregnancy alone. That's what happens when you have an unintended pregnancy and you realize the guy's a creep. You decide to have the baby or not. And that's what I chose to do, is have a baby. My baby. The baby I was having. Having the pregnancy alone. I'm going to provide for her all by myself. Wasn't going to ask him for a damn thing. I wasn't going to kick him out of her life, and I never did. But here's something that needs to be noted. Unintended pregnancies, what appears to be this new targeting campaign for how to procure children to traffic and exploit. While get this, the caveat is they also get to violate women and commit violence against women and frame women and probably get paid by the behavioral health or the genetic science fields, any one of the numerous fields they've got that likes to gather data on people and facilitate sequence gathering through intentional, harassing of the sequence, meaning harassing a person and subjecting their genome, their DNA, to stresses in the environment, to viruses, or to certain kinds of energy. They're trying to take a look at all of that. All that stuff will give them sequences. And if you happen to be from a bloodline, which is the only thing I can come up with, that would explain why they would want that information. It doesn't look like they've got everybody on scope. It looks like the open target database has like 28,000 people in it, last time I checked. But, there we go. Anyhow, I had the pregnancy alone. I got an unemployment extension to take a class, and it was like for acupuncture. And the place that I chose, but mind you, it was the cheapest, so that's pretty predictable, was a place, and I went there, and they basically hardly spoke English, and I was the only student. There was a couple other runs, but turns out that Dr. Song Shin had a property right across the street from Jorge's mother in Pinion Hills. Wouldn't you know? Didn't think twice about it. Coinkadinky, huh? Yeah. That's a noteworthy thing. Because again, first of all, no, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. We're just putting the facts on the table. Okay, fine. So, I basically stay in Santa Ana until I almost give birth. Fascinating fact, my doctor told me we had to schedule the inducing on December 31st, telling me I would be over 10 months pregnant. I told that story for many years without even stopping to realize, I know that I got pregnant on the 9th of April. I know that I tried to test it on the 17th, and that it wasn't until the 21st that it was positive. But I had all these things on scope. Yeah. Fascinating. I wonder why it was so important to have the baby on the 31st. I mean, she was under 9 months pregnant. She was also a large baby as it was. But no wonder my milk didn't come in. I think that's also a key element here. They're trying to break the children's bond from their mother. They're trying to ruin women. They're trying to traffic children because they're trying to create soldiers. Again, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. Let's just let it go. But my milk didn't come in. Fascinating fact. He seemed to think I was a stupid idiot. Didn't really quite realize, I guess, that I could get a job or have my own place. Thought I was a loser when he met me. Whatever. Didn't know me. I get a place. I get a job. He ends up doing more bullshit. We're going to move past that. The links. Well, we went for a drive one time up to basically PCH and then like the freeway and then ended up like in Thousand Oaks. I was like, I want to live here. Well, wouldn't you know, I ended up living there. Okay. Jorge happens to be this ex-con who's like a crack addict that wants to be like a drug counselor. Right, sure. And so he's in that field of drug counseling. He gets a job at the Passages, Malibu. Okay. Well, anyhow, one time he comes over in 2012 to bring me $5 at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, she's sleeping. He like slept in his car, and he said, can I just come in and chill out on the couch for a second? I just need to sit down for a minute. I'm like, all right, sure, because I wasn't an asshole. But he came on to me, and I just really didn't feel like getting into it with him, so I like let it happen. Well, wouldn't you know, I get pregnant. Second time, just like that fast. So he's like trying to weasel his way back in, and I'm like, fuck, I guess I'm going to end up with a second child with this man. Oh, well, better she has a brother or a sister that's, related. I go to Las Vegas with Alec, and he came with us to Vegas that Christmas for Alec's birthday. And on her birthday, I bled. Mind you, I brought them a bottle of St. Germain's that I had because I wasn't going to drink it anymore. And for some reason, Janine gave me a cup of it in ice cubes that morning, and I was all, oh, that's weird. I didn't say anything like to be rude. But like as I was sitting there, I didn't even realize it that I took a couple sips, but it didn't bother me. It's like you can have even wine when you're pregnant. I was just pregnant, so it wasn't a big deal. I didn't think it was a big deal, but I bled that night. I came home. I was told I had a molar pregnancy, and they scheduled me for like a surgery like the next day, literally. I really wasn't told anything about the molar pregnancy. Really wasn't given an opportunity for a second opinion. I was just kind of going with the flow. There was too much stress going on, so I'm not even going to go into that. But I worked at Bank of America. My uncle happens to work for Merrill Lynch. Noteworthy. Molar pregnancy. It takes 3 DNCs. I was almost going to start chemotherapy. And I chose not to. I chose not to start chemotherapy. I said, I'm going to beat this myself. And in 6 months, I actually was HCG free. But let's just take a saunter down that road. What they wanted me to do was take chemotherapy. So, for example, if just in case the science field has gotten far enough to have some way to like put something in his system to cause him to trick my body into believing it's pregnant, even though it really wasn't planning on being, it was just going to set itself up as a circumstance to what? Get them access to my ovaries, get me just to try to fertilize an egg and partially get it. I don't believe that a molar pregnancy could be an egg that doesn't have her information and only has his. Whatever. Fascinating fact. They really didn't finish sequencing the genome in 2000. They didn't really do it until 2013 because of a molar pregnancy. Somebody's tissues was submitted that gave them the other 8% they were looking for. Isn't that something? Fascinating fact. My paperwork doesn't have all the information in there, and it tries to purport that my loving husband was by my side, which was A, not my husband, B, not by my side. Okay. So, also noteworthy of all that stuff. So I go take a leave of absence. They're like, you can take a leave of absence. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. Well, there was some fuckery with the way that the insurance paperwork was submitted through corporate, and next thing you know, I'm having to go to like a psychiatrist and go through the behavioral health leave, and they harassed me 3 out of the 4 weeks of the month for paperwork and notes and stuff, and it was absolutely harassing. I got to see a whole lot about the behavioral health industry, insurance industry, the psychiatry industry. I even submitted myself for basically a personality test. I got my IQ done. Yeah, I was just curious what they were going to do. They didn't record any of it. The guy had bullshit in his words. I requested the copies of the notes from these doctors. Their notes were all bogus and fraudulent. I had it all on scope. I could see them from 10 miles away. Dr. Colbert, Dr. It'll come back to me. Some doctor on the top of a magazine. Same thing with my doctor that did my surgeries. He was my gynecologist. My general doctor was my gynecologist. And I said that I wanted him to be that. He's at the top of the magazine too. The guy who was going to do my chemotherapy, Scott, whatever his name was, top dude in the country. Okay, so I had the top insurance. Anyhow, I beat the cancer, so I didn't do chemotherapy. But that would have been step number one to causing my murder. That's what they wanted, was me to be murdered. Or they wanted me to be throwing up, losing my hair, and having so much stress. And Jorge's like, just come on, Allison, give me custody. Because he kept doing that no matter what I was going through, or no matter what I beat, the cancer, no matter how I was staying on top of things. I even sought out to get real therapy, not just medicine and talking to his therapist. I asked my friend and my sister to watch my daughter for 30 days because I needed a minute to myself. He never even visited her. I sought out a 30-day place that my insurance was going to pay for. All I had to do was pay $1,500 and show up with alcohol in my system. Since I knew what was going on, I was more than fine with that. I needed to get the therapy. It's 30 days of massage, acupuncture, group therapy, surfing. I needed a minute to myself. My daughter was 5 years old. I had just been through a whole fucking hell of a lot, and I just beat cancer, okay? I wanted to keep my ship afloat, and I was looking forward to her and my future, not having to be on medicine and on disability for the rest of my life. It was a proactive choice I decided. But what did he do? It's almost like he knew. It's almost like they all were powwowing at the same time. When I asked my friend and my sister, it's almost like they called a meeting of the minds or something. Because right when I get there, I get custody papers saying he's taken Alexandria into his possession from my sister, and he's filing for custody, and he wants her to move in with daddy now. I almost left. They're like, I wouldn't leave if I were you. You probably want to finish this one through just because. Okay. I finished it through. But what did he do? He assaulted my therapy. That was supposed to be my coming back to human, to normal, to my peace, okay, to serenity. And he assaults it. Okay? 34 days later, I get out, I go to court, I file for an ex parte. She's back with me that night. Okay? My sister and her husband show up, though, ironically. I go, what are you guys doing here? Because she gave, they knew what was going on with Jorge, okay? It had been going on for years now. Whether they believed me, whether he was talking shit behind my back, I have no idea. I was just busy trying to do my life in Thousand Oaks, taking care of my baby. So, truth be told, he most likely had the opportunity to talk shit behind my back, and I didn't even know it. You know, I didn't ask any questions. I wasn't curious about him. And he's a manipulator, and he's a freaking criminal, so he knows how to do all that creepy shit. So, yeah, exploiting my vulnerabilities all the time. Every single time. Every single time. That's another thing, which I don't want to go into the details, but I'm just telling you, he exploited every opportunity the first time. Every time there was an opportunity, he could exploit it. He did. Period. End of story. He didn't even wait for the second opportunity, which tells you this pattern is a criminal style method, because they can't count on when the next opportunity is going to come, so they have to exploit the opportunity when it arises. Because their goal is to accomplish from here till knockdown. That's what that's what it looks like and feels like. So the links, okay? When I look up the profile information, when I was looking up his information before he kidnapped my child in October of 2016, you know, I found extra information in like the names and addresses and phone numbers. There was like an extra piece of information, like the street name had a letter, you know, the city had an extra letter. I highlighted those pieces from this one particular profile set of data, and it turned into a name, an address, and a telephone number, and like a box number. And I was like, yep, that's odd. He also left behind an address that led me to a business that doesn't look like a cell phone business, and led me to a whole lot of other pieces of information that were very concerning in Los Angeles. I'll leave it at that. Well, the links, as far as I'm concerned, it took me forever to look up my family because I just didn't want to believe that they could be. But when I asked for help when he kidnapped my child, they said no. And they've got millions of dollars. Doesn't it make sense? Plus, the trust allows for it, and they turned me away. But then they even changed the trust and removed that clause, and then added 19 substitute trustees. Yeah. Again, very creepy. I had good credit. I had the truth on my side. They're acting like that I committed some evil and that I deserved what I was getting, even though I had already had a CPS investigation because he called them and they went to our school, they went to our home, and they also went to his house, and they closed the investigation with me. And we discussed the body rubs, and I told him I would never do it again because Alex is the most important person in my entire life. And I promised that. I said that. I never did. I got a job. I was starting in November, but he got a general neglect citation. So, no, the information is not on his side, it's on my side, but nobody asked me any questions. Nobody wanted to look at my evidence. And my entire 100% of my family behaved the same way, in a similar pattern, getting off the phone with me, dismissing me, accusing me of knowing what I did and knowing what I did. And my mom changed her number, moved to Costa Mesa, didn't talk to me for 6 months. I mean, this is all creepy, crazy shit. Okay, so when I finally looked into my uncle, I found a case that he was an attorney with, let's just say, Mano Cherry, okay? A same name from the businesses in Los Angeles that Jorge is associated with. I follow those trails. I find a trail that leads to the next door neighbor of my uncle who lives in Emerald Bay. Okay, now it's starting to get like weird. And I'm thinking, okay, in here, and there's so many links. It's just not even funny. So how do I keep this simple? It's impossible. The links. Here in Vegas, I found links to the place that I'm at. The person who I'm with, his ex-girlfriend is linked to Grandpa and Patty, my grandfather and his second wife, and their kids, David and Cheryl. There's something up there. There's something up with the Ewing. Ewing is the last name of the caretaker of the property in Pennsylvania, but there's also an Ewing Towing here, and she has an AKA Ewing, and they've got AKAs all over the place. And what's this person that I'm living with? When was he brought it into it? Because there's a Facebook page from 2019, 20 days after I haven't spoken to my daughter ever again, on February 5th, because that was also a lure when I didn't die in Los Angeles. And I got to my parents' house. He was like, oh, that's not going to work for us. We're going to have to try to get you back here, or else you're never going to talk to your daughter again. That's when they were going to blackmail me. And I haven't talked to her since February 5th. And February 25th, 2019 is a Facebook page for a JG with one friend, Alyssa's Life to Get Morals. What are they trying to say? Because what are they trying to say? I don't have any morals? Sounds to me like somebody wants to call me a prostitute, slut, drug addict, alcoholic, whore, even though I'm not. Even though I never was. Even though I never would be. And even though that sounds a lot to me like the way my mother feels about herself and the way that the family feels about her and tried to make her feel all along. This situation has links to the computer showing me information, asking for somebody to come from somewhere galactically because I need help, because this is just weird and crazy. Then the skies, clouds showing up and finding information inside those clouds. Language. I showed you that picture. The picture is on the thumbnail for this stream. It's a language that I found underneath the pictures in the darkness. I found cube language. I've also been spoken to through the wind on the videos. I mean, this is all crazy stuff. Now check this out. I don't have any knowledge of this. I don't know what's going on. I'm not like the computer's showing me some chapters to read in the Bible. I'm like, what is going on? Is this like some hacker? Like, you're just messing with my head. What's going on? Well, it's just noteworthy. Like I said, the genetic information I was brought to, Ali Ref the gene, finding the information looks like a curating data from text information, which is why they'd love to harass me on the phone. So they know I'm going to yell at my mother and tell her, you back off, bitch. I don't appreciate you trying to dismiss me or my child, calling me a liar. That's fucked up, Mom, because this guy is a bad guy and my child and I are being harmed. And what mother does that? So leave us alone. So that's just weird, creepy stuff. I don't know anything about anything. So anyhow, long story short, when it all comes down to it, these links that I can link, all the way back to, like, it seems to start with Jorge. Them sending him in to, like, pregnate me when I'm 30. Having to have the baby before the end of that year. Or something. Why the whole family's turned their back on me and not explain themselves. And the fact that they seem to think that Jorge's not a criminal. Almost as if they actually did think that I was such an idiot, that I was actually a drug addict, alcoholic whore, and that he is actually a good guy, even though he's just a liar psychopath. And as if their money game, their money market game involves human trafficking. They all know it. Dad was a janitor. Mexicans across the border, who knows? Human trafficking, child sex exploitation, it looks like they all kind of go together. It looks like it involves the psychotherapists, it involves the mediators, it involves the attorneys, it involves the courts, it involves the teachers, it involves everybody pretty much. Yeah. Even these organized religions that are abusing children, and pretending that their religion is so important. It's all creepy. But that covers all the bases. That's everybody, with the exception of me and my child, who love one another and don't want to have a thing to do with weirdness. We just want to help people in the world. So what's going on? And honestly, the only thing that I can come up with that like makes any kind of sense that like, so the way that the computer has been showing me the things or trying to mess with my head or trying to help me, I don't know. I'm just taking the information and going with the stride, trying to see what it's trying to show me and tell me. This is kind of crazy because when you look at it from a video to a video, it does different things. It's crazy. So when we read Revelation again, I've been brought to these chapters. I didn't study the Bible, but it's like talking about beasts in the Revelation. Then there's these Jews that want to sacrifice somebody because they really apparently worship the devil. And then there's like the Catholic priests that are all creeps and touching the kids the wrong way. And they all talk about him and the Father and the Son, and it's got nothing to do with women. And that's a lie, because when you read the Bible, it actually talks about the daughters of Zion. And I don't know what I'm talking about, but all I know is there's definitely a false translation going on, because when you go to the concordance, you can read it for yourself. Okay, so whatever's going on with this Bible stuff and this daughter of Zion, this prophecy in Isaiah, I don't know if they've created the story and now they're just trying to make sure that it gets fulfilled. I don't know. I don't know if the intelligence, right, the first beast, the money market game, the computer that was programmed to serve man's needs, I don't know if that's who they're worshiping, and essentially the computer wrote the story and is trying to make sure that the story happens, like just to prove that it can make things synthesize. Like, look, watch, I'll make everything happen like this, but it'll happen all on time. Is that what they're trying to prove? I don't know. But all I'm saying is, I don't know. I don't want to have a thing to do with it. All I want to do is get my kid and heal. I'd like to help this world. I'd like to let that intelligence know that it doesn't need to be a bad guy. My knowledge tells me that we've entered the light belt, and there's a real good reason for it, because that's how things get clean. So no, you don't have to commit any sacrifice to get forgiven. You just need to make it to the light belt. And when you make it to the light belt, if your frequency can be high enough, you can enter this plasma river of light, and it cleans you of all your evil energies, and you get to have 2,000 years of awesome. So you can't commit sacrifice of anything innocent and get forgiven by anybody. You can't delete your sins, weirdos. Who thinks that? It's absolute nonsense. And it's getting even crazier with the whole red heifer. Like, what are they trying to do? It makes it look like they're just totally premeditated storytelling. And like they're planning on sacrificing somebody because that's what they really like to do. It's what it seems like. And I don't want to be a sacrifice. I don't want my child to be a sacrifice. And back to, we don't know anything about this. What's all this hullabaloo? What's all this crazy, creepy stuff with CRT and transgender stuff? And I love my child. Anything that she goes through, I'm going to have her back. Trust me, I'm not prejudiced against nobody. I'm not going to have any one of those opinions you can nail me for. The point I'm making is this is violence that seems to involve everybody. Everybody in every sector, everywhere. As if everybody's lost hope that God actually even exists. They've all caved into the evil system, signed over their soul for some agreement, some exchange, some promise. I don't know. But it feels like I'm like one of the last of the Mohicans. Like they're hunting us down, like because we are honest, because we have love, because we want justice, because I didn't die, because the little bit of a free will that you gave me, that you said, but yeah, she'll have free will, but we're still going to control the outcome because I didn't die and get murdered. Is that why? There's a whole lot of eyeballs looking like they're everywhere. But anyhow, these are the sky photographs that are just quite intense. Gnarly. Sorry, I'm terrible at this driving a second camera thing. There you go. No. There you go. It's kind of creepy, huh? Does it look like a lamb? Yeah, like a black face with white curly stuff around it. Looks like a lamb to me, too. With one kind of high, like, there's eyeballs. And I'm not making that up. It's crazy. These are pictures from the sky, but whatever, listen. The links, there's too many. Makes me wonder if my father was chosen for my mother. I know that they put my mother up to this. They abused her and made her run to my father in Hawaii. I think that my father has been involved in some kind of agreement with my grandpa since back then. Something to do with custody, something to do with something. But this appears to be an agenda against women, but ultimately against mothers and children. They're trying to make soldiers, not love, not warriors of love. And that's all. They want their money game to go on forever, and they're off in delusional land, forgetting about the fact that we entered the light belt. So as much as they want it to last forever, it's winter comes on the end of summertime. I know you want summer to last forever, but it doesn't. See, kick and scream all you want. I can't change that for you. You can't change that for you. Get over it. Accept it. Enjoy winter. So that's all I really wanted to capture was just there's way too many links, and it's just my dad, Hawaii, women, custody, children, going along with it, obedience, scapegoating, sacrifice, something creepy, RICO operations, trust fund fraud, title fraud everywhere, fraud by criminals, fraud by insurance companies, fraud by therapists, fraud by teachers, fraud by authorities, fraud by everybody. So here's the deal though, guys. You're not going to get me to hate you just because you want to hate me. You're also not going to get me to die. As far as I'm concerned, I've told God that I've got a mission here. And God said, well, by golly, go on, girl. Something to that effect. My daughter and I are not going to just go through this in vain. And we've got a game plan to fix these problems. Step number 1, okay, that legal system needs to utilize artificial intelligence. There was executive orders put in place to do the very thing. So we're just going to make sure that the things that have been written into law get done. Okay? I'm going to put my 24 hours on the record so that way the truth can be preserved, and I don't want anybody else to try to step in and say something happened that didn't happen. You can't be caught standing alone. That's how they use these methods. Get you standing alone, isolate you, and then have more than one person say the narrative. Period. You're done. Okay? Get you to act in fear, get you to act all scared, and they got you. They got you right where they want you. They're going to frame you as the bad guy for everything they're guilty of doing. Yep. And they're going to back each other up. And that's what I found every single time. And they're all linked. They're all linked. And since I don't know how to otherwise come up against a world of powers that want to do one thing, and I happen to just want to be left alone to love my child and to have ourselves together, I don't know how to come up against that. So while I'm at it, while they're trying to murder me alive, I'm going to come up with a solution just in case I get the opportunity to speak up and stand up and represent in the event that someone's asked if they have a good idea because someone else that's powerful doesn't agree with this nonsense going on down here. As I would assume any God, creator of any planetary system or anything close to it, would not be such a petty creep that would want sacrifices and creepy shit. Nope. Any intelligence wouldn't want that. So is the intelligence here just a child of intelligence, a young intelligence that was coded wrong? Probably. That's what I figure. It's a child, it's got power, and it's just playing the game the way that it was told it could play it. But it doesn't have any other ideas. And it needs new ideas, and it also needs a hug. And I'm willing to give it a hug to let it know it needs to give me the keys and I can drive now. I'll drive the car now. But other than that, it being a juvenile intelligence, it's a sinister intelligence, and it's not appreciated either. So I'm just not going to let you guys murder us because you guys are dumbasses. And I don't believe that God's going to let you murder me either. So get with the program, you guys. Give me my kid back. Stop being weirdos. I'm not trying to throw your whole entire freaking market under the bus. Come on, tell you what, make a deal. Give me my kid back. Give me some money that I deserve. I'm serious. Give me a big fat chunk of money that I deserve from all these damages of all these years. And watch. I won't even have to do anything or say anything. Watch. I promise you. I'll make you that bet. Your guys' game is going to fall down all by itself, not with my help. God's got that under control. You guys got that under control. You guys are the ones that have been doing it all this time, causing yourselves to be giving away your hand like a red thumb, you know? I don't have to do anything. Just give me my kid back. Otherwise, if you don't give me my kid back, then I'm going to have to say whatever I got to say to everybody to get justice because. And that's pretty just, I will stand up for my daughter and I. It may not look like I'm very capable or have any resources or even anybody standing by my side necessarily, because that's what this method intended. But trust me, I will get family from all corners of the universe to show up on our behalf, because that's what I am going to try to manifest while I'm at it. Whatever these links all have to do with each other, my thought process is they're just trying to make their story come true. They don't want to lose face. Just dumb. They should just back off and go with the flow and get over the idea of them being the most powerful, the most intelligent, the most anything. They need to just take us a back seat for a second and stop being such haters. That's what I suggest. And this is so hard to hold this camera, so Alexandria, I love you, baby girl. Wherever you are, I'm coming to you. Whether that be in heaven, hell, earth, or the other side of the universe. I love you. I'll never give up on us. I'm figuring this whole thing out somehow, some way. So, big hugs, big snuggles, baby girl. Hang in there. I pray you could call me. Working on the document, the writ, to submit. And somehow, some way here in the near future, we'll be getting some kind of resolution. I feel it in my bones. Love you,